field.
September the 12th, 2005. England win back the Ashes. After 18 long years, they have finally beaten their oldest rivals, the Australians.
Oh, Biggie.
There was such a huge series, and they say it's one of the greatest Test series ever to be played, and to be certainly involved in it was magnificent.
And it really unified the country in a way that probably only sport and occasionally war can.
For the English, the satisfaction of victory has always been sweet, because cricket has always been their game. The English invented cricket, created its rules, constructed a whole moral code for the game. They then exported the pleasures of bat and ball to the four corners of empire.
Imperialism and cricket become mutually supporting ideologies. They're both seen as a form of moral education.
But when England began to lose leadership of the game worldwide, the complications of English life began to eat away at this glorious game of summer. Cricket in England was divided by class.
Cricket was all about that class distinction. It was gentlemen running the game.
Until the 1960s, English cricket was even physically divided between an upper class, the amateurs, and a lower class, the professionals.
We even went out of different gates at Sheffield. The amateur came out of the centre gates, we came out of the end gates. They got a lot of privileges, like when you play at Scarborough Festival. They all stayed at the Grand Hotel. We stayed at the boarding house down the road.
In good times, English cricket has been a winning combination of amateur traditions of flair and elegance and the steely determination of the professional. In bad times, when the natives began to do it so much better than the colonial master, the English have found it difficult to accept the humiliation of defeat.
And that is real trouble for the England side.
This is the story of how England invented a game, lost it to the wider empire of cricket, and is still trying to take it back.
Well, he's played some wonderful shots today, has Nasser Hussain.
And here it comes. A 4 by Compton wins the match and the Ashes.
A great innings by Ian Botham.
Summer on the village green, and two sides playing a local match of club cricket. A traditional English game in a typical English setting.
Cricket's origins are really rural in character. By the 18th century, it was being played on villages, particularly in the south of England, Sussex, Hampshire, Kent. And then what really seems to have happened was that the aristocracy of the nobility of the local landowning classes started taking a keen interest and really became the great patrons of the game, started playing it themselves.
Looking rather like highwaymen, the cricket teams arrived for a reproduction of a match played 200 years ago in the reign of George II.
To begin with, the game was played with just two stumps. There were no limits to the boundaries or how long the game took. And there was a very different kind of bowling.
The bowling is distinctly underhand, and controversy centres on sneaks rather than leg theory.
In these early days, cricket was popular both with ploughmen and lord of the manor. With heavy betting and money to be made from the game, aristocrats decided to take control of cricket. A wealthy group of landowners formed the Marylebone Cricket Club, the MCC, which took upon itself the task of codifying the laws of the game.
It's essentially a club for the landed aristocrats. It's a club for the people who are the dominant class in society. They control politics, they control the Church of England, they control the military. You know, the MCC doesn't have to impose its leadership on cricket. You know, people just expect that because of the social background of the people who control the MCC. They are the people who ought to be the dominant authority within cricket.
A permanent place was found for this exclusive private club. Lord's in London, to this day considered the home of cricket worldwide.
The power of the MCC was all about that class distinction. It was a fantastically obscurantist organisation. for many, many years, and probably, to be honest, let's face it, still is.
In the 19th century, the gentlemen at Lord's formed an alliance with English public schools to turn cricket into a test of moral character. Ideals of fair play and courtesy to the opposition were encouraged. The phrase, "It's not cricket," came into common speech to describe something crooked, not quite right. Cricket was also seen as preparation for life beyond the boundary, for the greater games of war and empire. Something encapsulated in a celebrated poem about a match here at Clifton College in Bristol.
There's a breathless hush in the close tonight, 10 to make and the match to win. A bumping pitch and a blinding light. Play up, and play the game. The river of death has brimmed his banks, and England's far, an honour, a name. But the voice of a schoolboy rallies the ranks. Play up, and play the game.
Cricket and the ideology of the game were soon being exported, a vital part of the wider project of empire. By the end of the 19th century, cricket was being played in Australia, the West Indies, India, South Africa and New Zealand.
Cricket is very much an imperial game. I mean, test matches have only ever been played against countries which were once part of the British Empire. And because the empire is seen as an expression of English morality, this adds to the morality of cricket. But at the same time, cricket is also seen as an expression of English morality. So like the notion of the sportsmanship of cricket is thought to express Christian virtue, English virtues.
Although cricket was meant to be a force for unity in the empire, back in England, the game was split along class lines. Gentlemen amateurs could afford to play for the love of the game, whereas lower class professionals, known as players, were paid to perform. This division could even be seen in contrasting styles of batting.
The amateurs, who were groomed in public schools and probably universities, were taught to play correctly by taking a nice step down the pitch and stroking the ball through the offside in a very sort of aesthetically pleasing way. Whereas the professionals, who were brought up probably on the village green and clubs and so on, were much more adept at still hitting the ball to leg.
The nuggety professional batsmen would just be sort of turning it off their legs in a kind of workmanlike way and so on. And there's no doubt over the years, strokes to the offside have always been seen as having a greater sort of, somehow greater moral value.
Though the amateurs might have the style, by the mid-19th century, it was the professionals who were making a success of cricket.
Now, the professionals, being professionals, wanted to make money out of their skills, and they stumbled upon a great scheme for making money, which was to go around the country, calling themselves an England 11, playing odds matches. And that means that there would be 11 England players, but they would be playing 22 or even more of the sides got up by local teams. They would charge appearance money for this and made quite a lot of money out of it. MCC, of course, were rather disdainful of this, but in terms of the attraction to crowds, the amateurs didn't really have an answer. All the best cricketers were professionals.
A struggle for control of cricket was now underway between the professionals and the cricket establishment at Lord's. To win this war, the MCC turned to the maverick genius who was to become the first star of English cricket, W.G. Grace. Grace came from a middle-class family of doctors, but the MCC